humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip for 3 months straight, it not only impacts the Palestinians, which I know you couldn't care less about, but it also obviously is going to impact the hostages. They're going to starve to death as well.
You're saying Israel is starving the hostages?
I'm saying, yes. Yeah. When you block humanitarian aid for 3 months, where do you think they're going to get the food from?
Scott Jennings is so disingenuous. You could just tell that fake laugh that he gave. And when he looks at the camera like this, like he's connecting, Scott Jennings acts like Scott Jennings is connecting with the CNN audience. Like, oh, hey guys, you guys think it's funny like me too, you know? Like people can see through that. Even that laugh was just so extra. It's like, Scott Jennings, come on. Be a man. You don't have to shield this hard. But in this clip, we're going to watch NewsNight with Abby Phillip. This one's a little older. I did kind of talk about this before, but it is also good to talk about it right now because we have situations going on in the Middle East still that we don't talk about often because of our own situations at home. But we'll be involved in the Middle East again very soon. And so this clip, Anna Kasparian is railing on Scott Jennings on NewsNight with Abby Phillip on CNN because he's just such a joke at this point. It's like people aren't even reporting the news. They just make sure to not disrespect the contract, right? So we're going to go ahead and get into this clip. Had to pull it from TYT, though. I like to always just let you guys know because some of these CNN clips are hard to find, or like they recorded it and they mess up on the speakers. So I don't know what's going on with NewsNight with Abby Phillip. Like, come on now. All right, let's get into it.
Where do you think they're going to get the food from?
Max, Israel.
What a joke. Well, it turns out that Israel blocking humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip negatively impacted the Israeli hostages. How do I know that? Well, we're now hearing from the father of one of the hostages who was released earlier this week. And guess what he had to say? Blocking humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip made it real difficult for my son to survive. Turns out it was difficult to feed him when food wasn't entering the enclave for nearly 3 months straight.
Now, there were people when this happened who lied. And sadly, one of the people who lied about this was Charlie Kirk. And I don't want to, bring him up too much. Obviously he's not here anymore. I just pray that, before his untimely passing, sad passing, that Charlie Kirk was able to talk to the Lord and come to terms with some of the lies that Charlie Kirk was telling. But people are acting like this didn't happen. It did happen. Donald Trump himself said it. Like, for the MAGA people who are like, no, this isn't happening, it's not happening or whatever. Like, okay, Donald Trump himself, he said it.
For a second that those journalists were not targeted. I think journalists are being targeted in Gaza. They're not allowing international journalists to report on the ground to enter the Gaza Strip unless, of course, they're being accompanied by IDF soldiers. And hundreds of journalists have been slaughtered in Gaza. Every single time it happens, Netanyahu...
And I'm sorry, it's just real quick again, and I keep cutting it off, you have to understand, Anna Kasparian is taking on this topic and giving it in full reality on CNN. Now, somebody would think, well, that's a leftist site, so they're not pro-Israel. It's not that. It is who owns the media sites. We'll leave that there. And so for Anna to speak like this, even the leftists on the panels, on the Democrats on these panels, don't talk like this on CNN about the stuff that was happening over there. And I want to bring you up to date, actually, with this topic and it kind of segue into Iran. So we're listening a little bit more to the rest of this clip. By the way, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful to everybody who's watching. All of a sudden, I'm getting subscribers and everything. So I'm very, very grateful. And please don't forget that the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you to every eye that lands on these videos.
Who comes out and says, oh, it was a mishap, and the United States just forgets about it and moves on, continues providing more bombs. Thank you for saying what you're saying, because you are correct that people are losing their support for Israel over the conduct of... I don't consider this a war at all. I do consider it a genocide. When you have humanitarian aid workers being slaughtered, when you have every single hospital bombed, when you have the entire Gaza Strip leveled, that's not a war. A war, if you do targeted strikes and you go after the combatants. 729 magazine, an Israeli publication, obtained IDF documents showing, their data shows that 83% of the people slaughtered in Gaza are civilians, 83%. Let me say it again, 83%. How are you going to call that a war against Hamas?
And so the thing that you have to understand is that Anna Kasparian is not using American sites, leftist sites. Anna Kasparian is sourcing Israeli sites. I know there's a left and right in Israel, but let's keep it real. You know, like, to be very transparent about your own people is not quite the easiest thing to do. I don't think that Israelis want to see Israel destroyed or anything like that, but you know, shout out to Israelis who are telling the truth about a lot of what was going on. It's very much not easy to do, right? Especially in a society like that. That said, Anna Kasparian makes a general statement and says, if you're going to fight a war, it's going to be combatants fighting each other, you know, like that's what's considered a war. And then Scott like snickers like that's what fighting a war is. Scott Jennings lost a lot of respect. I'm sorry, because I see you guys comments and I'm going to start commenting back. But Scott Jennings is like, I mean, of course, the ones who are going to like Scott Jennings. But when Scott Jennings stepped up and started talking about why Kamala lost the race and kept it real about, you know, some of the cultural issues that we have in this country, which I would agree with him on that. People were like, oh my God, you know, okay, great. And he seemed pretty reasonable. But with this situation, which was in your face, even if but here's the thing, if you didn't care about it, that's one thing. But like to just act like that's not combatants. Like the most frustrating thing is to tell somebody who is looking at the footage that they're lying or it's not happening. Jared Kushner went to Gaza because, and this is me about to segue and bring you up to date, because they had to, you know, do the floor plans and the blueprints for the new future city that's going to be built over there. I mean, you hear me laugh. It's not funny, but it's more like a weird, like crazy kind of thing. Jared Kushner was taken aback, like when he saw it, he was like, I just was like, wow, okay. Why would Jared Kushner lie about that? Jared Kushner is not pro-Palestine. He's not out here free. Like, so come on.
Yeah, so basically over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of organizations that have been trying to determine what happens after the war. What's clear right now is we're very much focused on the humanitarian and the deconfliction to make sure that the aid can get to the people. And
deconfliction, because there's still shooting over there.
Yeah, so you have to make sure that we're dealing with both sides and sending messages so that you don't let embers become little fires that become forest fires. So we're working on deconfliction.
Yeah, so, yep, and then this is it, Jared Kushner. People are showing like how they, you know, blew up the place. And that's the thing, you know, they were blowing up buildings and all of that or whatever. Now, when it comes to Iran, I'm just going to do one of these. Trump has, in the past few days, been asking for a decisive plan. He wants a decisive plan as far as with Iran. And decisive meaning, what is he going to do? What is Trump going to do to make sure that the regime change goes? There was a Wall Street Journal that was reporting that, and there was a part in that Wall Street Journal where they were saying, you know, it would be like a campaign of airstrikes with, you know, maybe some forces on the ground. These are all different kind of talks. I can't tell you exactly which plan they picked. Nobody called me up or told me anything. But all of this escalation as far as where you have people saying, the people of Iran want to be free. We need your help. You know, like, you know, just all of that. You know, I'm saying that kind of stuff, and we need your help with the protesters, as if we don't have huge protests here. All part of a campaign. We know what these things cost now. And, you know, and at the end of the day, it is to go and switch up governments in Iran. Iran is the last country on that clean break memo. It's pretty sick, but what are you going to do? I don't even know what else to say. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.